I'm Sandy.
And I'm Al.
And here we are with another 2020 podcast.
Conversation
with Ask the Pool Guy.
As the pool girl.
So Al, since we chatted last time, what's new?
Well, we've certainly been working outside, which is unusual, that the weather has held and we've been able to get some work outside. But I think more importantly than that, I mean, while the work is good and the work is fun, and it's really, really fun right now, there's a lot of New Year's things still swirling around. Now here we are almost halfway through January already. The time goes incredibly fast. And my mind is still around that New Year's resolution, but it's less New Year's versus New Decade resolution. And you've heard me mention a few times the Roaring 20s concept and idea, and I know that was really popular around the first of the year. But that's kept me really intrigued about what this next decade looks like. Because whether or not we get a control of it or a handle on it, it's going to happen. No matter what we do, it's going to go by like that, because a decade just went by in no amount of time. It feels like no amount of time. So the idea has really been how to maximize the yumminess of the 2020s. So that's what's been going on for me. And while life is amazing and everything about my life is near perfect, couldn't ask for more. I mean, there's always more to be had and more to do and more things to accomplish, but the life is pretty doggone amazing the way it is. And so that's kind of some of what's been going on in me regarding the business and regarding my personal life. What are the things that I want to accomplish in the next 10 years? What do I want to see happen in my life? How about you?
I am delighted, I suppose, and surprised every day that we continue to be attracting to our company people that are of a new and like prosperous, they're a new variety and genre of people. So we've worked with amazing people always. And I know we talk about a lot our certain way, and the customers or homeowners that are what we really enjoy working with. And we've got, for 2020, the first 2 pools are on the books. So they've gotten their designs and committed, and we've mutually chosen each other. And I know as we evolve and change as a company, we're able to express more of our certain way. And I do believe that when we put that intention out, then the clients are able to respond in kind. So I am very excited for this spring, especially because we've talked about, like, we're this wacky construction company pool builder, and we already are so different. And this year I feel us changing again into something that's even more different and more spectacular. So we just had a meeting with our first pool of the season, and they are so excited to have us working with them. They've said if they couldn't have us, or if they hadn't found us, likely a pool wouldn't be something that they were doing. And even, as recent as last summer, doing a pool wasn't on their radar. They had thought about it a number of years ago, and then life kept happening, and it kind of just got put, out of their mind almost, until one day the husband woke up and said, this is the next thing that we need to do, and we've got to do this experience. So it went from like no pool to we have to get this pool. And if they will work with us, we have to have Legendary Escapes do it. And like, I am so excited for the team to be working with this family because they are so excited. They can't wait. The husband says, you know, I haven't been this excited in a long time for something. And the wife said that she looks forward to welcoming our team, like to their yard, to their family, all that kind of good stuff. So we'll be again interacting with people like we were crazy before, but like we're at a whole nother level of crazy, and that's kind of what I feel from both projects, that one and then the second one that we have lined up to start this spring. Very similar kind of scope of project, and
the personality
like,
of the customer too is very similar.
They might have questions, but they kind of just want to know what's going to happen, not necessarily how it'll happen or what it'll happen with, what are the materials, stuff like that. Like, there's just a lot of trust and a lot of things that like we have come to expect and our team would take for granted, especially when we hear other people talking about, you know, like I couldn't possibly choose any colors for my client because I don't know what they'd like. Well, we're like so far in the other side of the world with that it just happens.
Well, I think there's a magic in that, and there's not words, there's no easy way to put it in a book, there's no easy way of instructing someone else to do it the way we do it, but there is absolutely a magic in that, just finding and feeling your way through it. And I think the key with that is you find and feel your way through it, but you have to be consciously aware. And I really think that a lot of people don't really want to be consciously aware of every moment. I think we're so busy in our lives that we almost forget that we're breathing. We almost forget that we're alive, that there's all of these amazing things going on inside of us to allow us to do this. And I think people get lost in that, and they get so busy trying to maximize quote unquote profits, or be profitable, or impress their neighbors, or you name the list of why people are motivated to do things. But I think because of that, with that comes this growing fear of making a mistake, because as soon as you pick the wrong color and a customer doesn't like that color, and now you have this obligation to redo it, you now are spending money, time, and effort, and there's that sliding scale of, well, there goes my profitability, and there goes my... And when you kind of get rid of that, and that's just noise to us, when you get rid of that and instead you go, how's this gonna feel, what's the right thing, what are we trying to do here, that eliminates all of that. It just goes away, and you're not thinking about, oh, do they exactly like this tone or shade of color? Do they like this exact design and shape? No, but when you let that all go and you look at the composition of how is this thing going to look overall, and when a customer truly learns to trust us in that respect, that's when it's complete magic. Things just go unbelievably well.
Well, in addition to working with many more awesome customers this year, we will get to officially launch the Once Upon a Time pool and the Lazy River pool, because we're still working on those in the fall when we got our first early like blizzard snowstorm of the year. So those will have the kind of culmination and that moment where finally it's like the magic is all put together, not just the pieces of magic, which I know have been awesome along the way. So that'll be really a cool thing too. I'm having...
Well, that allows us to celebrate.
Yeah.
I think there's a piece of that oftentimes when you're in the grind of doing, you don't take the time to celebrate. Well, we have these marking points when we complete a project, we have the celebration of that project. And I think that is kind of goes into this, and it's a piece of that I think we would feel we'd miss if we didn't celebrate the culmination of something, the finish of that project.
Yeah. Bob, come here, Bob. I hear Bob getting a little, well, he's like a toddler and somebody else has a toy and he wants it. So hopefully they redirect. So I'm having a thought as well about working with our customers, and I don't know that this will be framed as advice for other contractors, but it could be, I suppose. Like, we have learned through the experiences we've been able to have with customers that they pay us, and that enables this experience of working with us to build their pool. When we do a proposal, there of course are like the items. So here's the pool, here's the spa, here's the waterfall, here's all the options that we're looking for. So we break it down like that and then give them their total for their legendary experience. And then once that happens, unless they request something completely like different in scope, like a bigger amount of patio or something like that, once we've established that budget, nothing changes. And at the point where they decide we're doing this and they sign up and we start with the deposit, like, we get draws along the way, but they're not tied to the stuff that we're doing. And there's a magic in separating the money that it takes to do what we do and build from what's happening day to day on the job. And I know it may be hard for some people to wrap their heads around, because in the contracting world, it's like you do this, you get to this amount of progress, and then money is due. So the money is very much in that scenario tied to the accomplishment of the doing of the stuff.
The performance.
And in our world, we've been able to flip it. So, you know, really at the beginning of a project, if people just wanted to pay for like most of it, then it would eliminate that sense of like the progress-based draws on both sides completely along the way. And I don't know that we would like that, but I do like the part where, you know, things are happening and you're having this experience with us, and the price that you're paying is just the cost of enabling that experience. So any given day, like the number of boulders that have been carved, that doesn't matter. Or the number of, you know, pieces of whatever that have been put in, like, it's not tied to that. And I think if in life in general everybody could move away from this money tied to this thing, then the experiences just become so much richer when we take that out of the way. And maybe it's not in the way for some people, but it's different when it's not that way.
Well, this goes to that whole conversation that I discovered over the last many years about good contractor and good client versus good contractor, not so good client, or poor contractor, good client, or poor contractor, poor client. If you match the scenario where you take a great contractor and you match it with a great customer, I think that's possible. Mm-hmm. Anything short of that, and so those scenarios, if there's 4 different scenarios, 25% of them, good client, good customer, only 25% of those will that scenario work. But being in that, allowing it to work that way is amazing. But what happens, as we've seen so many times, is that there would certainly be a concern for a homeowner to give all the money, thinking that the work is tied to money. And guess what? In a lot of cases it is. If that contractor is not living this kind of yummy experience of creating, and instead they're doing the work, they find reasons to not do the work. And that would certainly be an issue with not showing up, and we hear the stories all the time. Oh, I haven't seen my contractor in 2 weeks, or they haven't been here for a month, or this project's been going on 6 months and I haven't seen them. That's where tying it to money, as crappy as that is, that's where tying it to money matters. Right. And in our scenario, because it's not that, because we've developed a great company atmosphere, a great company attitude, just a great way about us in terms of contracting, and we match ourselves with only the cream of the best customer and client. I mean, really, these clients who we're talking about, I'm listening to you tell a story about how cool these people are. They're freaking amazing people. It doesn't have to be someone with some massive big title who owns some big massive big thing that thinks they're so great. These are real people living normal but really yummy, juicy, colorful lives. Yeah. And when you match that with also They not only have those characteristics, but they also really understand what being a good customer is. Because I'm telling you folks, there's two sides to everything. We've always heard that. And a contractor is only half of the equation. Half of the issues and blames can oftentimes, and I'm not saying it does, can fall on the customer end of things. And when you match a great company with a great customer who, and most importantly, a great customer who understands what being a great customer is, then the money is just a thing. It's no longer transaction. It's no longer pay for performance. Instead, they're paying for experience. Yeah. And that's when, if the money's paid at the beginning, money's paid at the end, then it kind of doesn't matter. Yeah. Now, logically, it makes more sense for money to be paying sooner versus later so that the contractor can continue doing their thing. But that's a whole amazing place to think and discover and realize what the true work it takes a company and a management team to create a good business idea, a good business model, a good way of doing business, and a good way of being. I don't even like saying business model. That just makes me sick to my stomach because it kind of sounds all corporate-y, schmuckity schmuck. Something that your consultant would say.
Hey, Bob. Come here, Bob.
But if you just kind of can get your team together and get them on a fun and yummy sort of way of being, I think that's certainly what while we've worked for it, we've also kind of stumbled into it. It's just become our certain way. And, I don't know that there's a magic, and I imagine there's a magic in finding your certain way, but we've been fortunate to do that.
Mm-hmm. So these clients that we've attracted to build for are also very excited about the legendary Goldens coming on the job. Mm-hmm. And I just called Bob up here to get him distracted, and the lights are on and he's like, okay, what do you want me to do? He's just very
put me on. I'm ready to he's like a monkey with a banana ready to perform, aren't you, Bob?
Yes. Hi, look at that. He's so bright-eyed and just
happy as could be.
Yay. Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, I'll talk about just something that I got in the mail yesterday, which are books of Facebook photos, all compiled neatly with
Facebook and Instagram.
The commentary. Yeah, so I did get some Instagram. So, I'm infamous for 2 a.m. Facebook shopping. And this ad popped up.
Hopefully not Marketplace where you're bugging people at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, well.
If you don't want to hear the notification in the middle of the night, you should turn off your setting. I'm sorry, because, I shop at all hours. But I got a pop-up, and it said that it would put together an album of your photos. And, of course, I've used the apps to get photos printed. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten to a pretty good place where we can do our pool portfolio books on demand. And while so much of our stuff is online, having a physical book to flip through, there's just something different about that, and it's awesome. So, of course, 2 in the morning, one day, not that long ago, I get this pop-up ad that they'll compile my photos in this album, hardcover, glossy. It'll have, the photo, and then if there was a caption or something that was written with it. And I'm like, I'll try this. I'll try this. Let's see what it is. And I post a lot. And I like, one of my side hobbies is kind of photography, because I really enjoy taking pictures of randomly interesting things that just have a different flavor.
Travel with you anywhere, and you can fully expect to be waiting for a while because she's going to see something she needs to photograph. Yes,
and
absolutely.
I love it. I love doing that. So it says, we'll put this in a book for you. I'm like, all right, I should give it a try, because I did used to scrapbook, but I haven't for a long time, and I don't really think I'd have the same draw to it now that I once did. So I clicked it and I ordered an album of my Facebook mobile uploads, of my Facebook highlights for the last 10 years, and of Instagram. And because I have so many photos, I think it got like one quarter maybe of what I posted, but they arrived yesterday.
These are big books with a lot of pictures.
They're big. I think there's like just shy of 400 photos in each book, and they're amazing. And I was so excited looking at them, and I was showing Kaylee and Zach how cool they were, and I was so happy with the way they turned out. And if I had needed to I could have changed the photos in it, made sure nothing, was printed in the book that I didn't want in the book forever.
But you know what? There's nothing that you post though that you would really not.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I mean,
but I could have gone through it
sure,
photo by photo
sure.
if I wanted to, I guess is the
Okay.
point of the story. And I wanted convenience. So I said, let's just do this and see how they turn out. And they're awesome. So if anybody else ever sees that pop-up ad, which, I mean, you'll probably get now if your phone's in this vicinity because they're always listening. But anyway, that was a really good investment.
Well, and you
I'm
did
very happy with
three books.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I did 3 books and I'm thrilled with all of them. And I would likely do more. And if I could log into Facebook as other people, I would do books for them from their accounts as gifts.
interesting.
I only have, those mad skills for
Some of our
people.
accounts, right?
Yeah, you never know. Anyway, so that was really fun.
It's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah. So we have talked a lot in the past about the importance of going to trade shows. And we are in January. So of course in January and February.
Trade show season.
It continues to be trade show season. Trade show season starts in November with the International Pool Show. Then Canada is usually in December, which we attended. And the next couple of shows, we've got Atlantic City coming up, and then there's some smaller regional shows. And then I'm assuming in February again, we'll have some kind of an SCP showcase like they've been doing yearly now. So that'll be kind of cool. So have your thoughts and perspectives changed? Let's take a pause because I hear a person.
Okay, there's our pause. No, let's keep going.
So, have your thoughts changed around attending shows at all since we've talked about it? And we did talk a little bit about the Canadian Pool Show, and I found that to be very different. So we didn't necessarily discover any new revolutionary products or things we need. But we did run into a variety of people that acknowledged everything that we do online to reach
Well, I think
people.
what was interesting about that show in particular was how many people referenced Instagram.
A variety of different
Which,
places,
of
yeah.
course, people say, oh, we love your stuff on YouTube, or we follow you on Facebook, but we don't hear that same story so much about, Instagram. And yet here's these fully grown men saying, I love your stuff, I follow your stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that was worth the trip, that alone, just from that perspective of recognizing and realizing that there's more to the social world than YouTube or Facebook. So I thought that was really cool. So the question was, have my thoughts changed? I think it's really important to show up. I think the act of showing up tells the world that you're in the game. And if you're in the game, it means that you're progressing and doing something. And I think that's been the key with everything on us showing up like that, is it continues to show that we value our industry, we value what we've learned, we value what we're hoping to learn and hoping to get, because we're not coming there for nothing. We have an expectation of being there. And I think that's good for us internally, but then it's good externally as well, to be able to say, look, this is important. Other pool people, pool industry people, get involved, stay involved, learn. You won't learn everything in one trip. That's the other big thing that happens. Oh, I was at that show 5 years ago. So how relevant is that today? Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was at that show once. I mean, you hear that and you go, how is that relevant to anything? Because if it was more than a year ago, things change. If it was 6 months ago, things change. Not that they always do, but...
And you're a different person. So even if you see the exact same thing at the same booth...
You're a different person by default.
Because of the progression that you've had, hopefully, in your business or life, you're tuning in to other aspects of things that you may not have before. So it'll be a different experience.
Well, I think the big thing with shows, too, is you don't have to go with this expectation of stopping at every booth and seeing every product that's available. That would drive me crazy. I'd quit going in a heartbeat. But being there and being open to the possibility allows the right things to find you. There's always something new, there's always something interesting, or someone from Instagram making a comment or something that kind of validates who you are and what you do. And in that case, that validates this thing that we've been doing, this process, this social world that we've been living in. And maybe you don't need that. That's fine. In our case, we do, because of all the effort we put into it. It's good to get some social proof. Does it change anything? No, but yes, it tells us that people are paying attention and there's some value in doing that particular thing.
And we have a network that is strengthened by us seeing people on a regular basis, and we have a lot of avenues for support or advice or anything.
There's a lot of things that we could harness if and when the time came, and that would be a direct result of that network of what we've done in all of those years of having FaceTime with people that we may never need to call a favor in with, but we might need advice on something, and it's there.
Yeah, we've been able to connect with and meet some pretty cool people.
Some crazy cool people.
If anybody happens to be in the pool industry and you'll be at those shows, then we look forward to seeing you. And if you'll be in Atlantic City, perhaps we'll be in Atlantic City, although we're still building crazy coolness every day here. So
well, as the weather closes, I'm gonna tell you, as the weather closes in on us, like toward the end of the week, it's like, it's just hard to. You can do it every once in a while, but doing that every day would be tough. So I could see us backing off here for a bit, because it's just tough sometimes.
Really cool. All right. So, well, on that note, let's call it a wrap.
Let's call it a wrap
for today. You go out there, continue being awesome, and
we'll do that from the chairs we're at. How about that?
And we look forward to seeing what that looks like in 2020.
Awesome.